All right, I'm recording now. We need to go back and do a few definitions from the past. The first definition I want to take care of is daily rate. This is back with renting a car. And this is a charge for each day. What if you're on a vacation and you don't use your car that day? Do you still get charged that daily rate? Yes, because you still have the car. A mileage charge is also about renting a car. And this is a it's a price per mile. This is basically paying for gas. You can either pay them per mile or sometimes, or you can just fill the tank back up when you're done, as long as you do it right next to the place that you're renting from. So sometimes the mileage charge is gone, but some places still have it because they might even make it more expensive than gas. Why would they make it a little bit more expensive than gas? Not just so they can make money, but yes. What else happens the more you use a car? The more wear and tear, so they might do that. So if you don't use a car that day, but you've rented a car, which one are you still charged? The daily rate or the mileage charge? The daily rate. The mileage charge wouldn't happen at all. Renting is you need to sign a contract. To borrow a car or a residence. For a period of time. This is called a lease. The contract, that is. Why do they make you sign a contract when you rent? Yeah.
So that they have the information so that if something, like, if you were to say just like run off with the car, they would know.
Exactly. If you ran off with a car, they would know who you are and exactly where to find you. What if you just stopped, like, let's suppose that you signed a contract or a lease to have an apartment for a year. And then you left the apartment, you took all your stuff out of it and stopped paying the money. What would happen?
They can come after you and swamp M's court.
Yep, they can still come after you because you signed a lease that you would pay for that apartment for a year. So you can't just not follow through on something. They usually have clauses in the lease where if you want to get out of a rent contract, then you can pay extra and get yourself out and be able to leave it. Also depends on how much you want. The last thing that I really want to hit is you happen to say utilities. What's included in utilities when you're renting?
It's not always the same, is it?
It's not always the same, so let's list options.
Plumbing, water, electricity.
So water, electricity,
Heat.
heat. Sometimes that is electric and sometimes it's gas. Anybody else think of another one? These are like essentially your monthly bills. for your home. Okay. Today, what we're gonna do is we're gonna compare some apartments and see which one would better fit our needs. Sit. We're done with the vocab sheet, if you want to put that away. Okay, now, granted, this text is like 10 years old, so everything's more expensive than this shows, which I'm sure you've figured out by now.
I wish rent was that cheap.
But rent can also be this cheap depending on where you live, and if other people are going to be also living with you. What is a studio apartment? I'm on this side that says problem-solving renting apartments. What's a studio apartment?
Isn't that a one person?
It is a one-person apartment. I mean, I guess you could have more than one person in there.
That's smaller.
It is smaller. How so? What's the difference between like a one-bedroom and a studio apartment?
Nope.
It's like one room. I lived in a studio apartment for part of college. My bedroom was my room and everything inside of it. There was also a bathroom and then like the tiniest little kitchenette possible. But my whole apartment was not much. No, I'd say it was about the size of this room. And that was my whole apartment. So you imagine like a wall put in where there's a bathroom for part of it and a kitchen for part of it and then like a room for the other part. This wasn't that cheap, even when I was in college, but still cheaper than it is now. So 2 rooms, 3 rooms, 4 rooms. It says gas and electricity are included. Security deposit, 1 month's rent. Remind me again what a security deposit is?
In case you break anything.
In case you break anything. So everybody look up. Stop working ahead if you're working ahead. Listen to me, and this is an important lesson. If you hear anything I say today, it's this. When you rent your first apartment or you rent your first house, the first thing you want to do is you want to walk around and take pictures of everything. Why do you think that's true?
That way, when you're done renting it or anything like that, the landlord can't say that you caused any of the previous damage.
Right. So let's suppose that there's a dent in your refrigerator and you notice it when you first come in and you take a picture of it immediately, right? And you have a timestamp on your picture that shows when you took the picture. Then in a year when you move out, if the landlord says, hey, you put a dent in the refrigerator, you can say, nope, I have visual